Every journalist's dreams are cracking the big story. I was determined to get to the bottom of it if it killed me.
I bought some old PCs. They came full of banking data. I reckon they must be worth something.
Your client is demanding $50,000 for a box of old floppy disks.
That's blackmail, pure and simple.
If the bank wanted to play hardball,
Get the stuff out of here.
Kev was going to find out why.
He said he was from the Security Intelligence Service.
They're spooks. They don't have badges, IDs, numbers, anything.
Do you know any connection between the SIS and Kevin Jones?
Who's paying?
Kevin, it's after 3.
You're the only person I can trust.
Kev, this is getting pretty weird, eh?
Whose side are you on?
Hey, I'm on yours, Kev. I'm always on your bloody side.
We have to have interviews that we can stand by.
Take a look around. The missing money. My phone's tapped. The surveillance. There's a van parked outside. The assault on Jones. God, these pricks are more paranoid than I am.
The missing disc.
Shit.
You could kill somebody with this thing.
Well, it's inspired by Ian Wishart's book, The Paradise Conspiracy. It's an original story, and we're using our own characters, and we have the added element of the journalist who's actually investigating the whole thing.
I play a journalist. His name's Mort Whitman, and he's following this case of this young man who thinks he's being chased by the CIA and the SIS and the government.
Because the world still doesn't know that Bin Laden's from Georgia.
I thought he was from Saudi Arabia. Want another game?
He finds information on the discs, which the more he looks at it, the more trouble he gets into. At one point at the beginning of the film, he does attempt to sell the information back to the people he bought it from, but rather than them trying to come to some sort of agreement, they actually try and shut him down.
I did a search of our records for Kevin Jones.
He's online. Did you access his hard drive?
He goes through a series of events where his friends don't believe him.
You got no money.
It's bullshit. There's heaps in that account. Well, I mean, there's some anyway.
Whatever, Kevin. That's what you said last week.
He gets his house broken into. He starts to think his phone is tapped.
Do you really think that bloody silly air pistol will save you?
What air pistol?
That his computer is being accessed. He notices strange people following him.
They've all got top security guys on staff, protecting the company's interests.
What, from me?
And his paranoia level grows until he actually goes crazy.
One can intellectualise about conspiracy theories and the CIA and the nature of multinational corporations and all of that. So you're in the international world, whether you like it or not, and New Zealanders, whether we like it or not. And we can pretend that the CIA is not interested in us, if we like, but it's a pretense. We are part of the international community, and that's how it is. And that's the tapestry against which this film is set.
It's about corruption. It's about institutionalized corruption. I mean, we're all corrupt, you know. You know, the hero of the story that Chris is playing, he's an ordinary guy. If he thought he could make a buck a little bit on the sly, he would.
Well, they're full of banking data. Records of accounts, transactions. I mean, it's international stuff. There's thousands of pages of it, Bill.
Anybody know?
Well, only you. See, this is the thing. I'm thinking of contacting the bank, offering to sell them back, because I reckon they must be worth something.
We live in shades of grey. We're not black and white. But when that corruption becomes institutionalized, it's a really something that we have to be vigilant about questioning.
The layers are there, but underneath those layers, it's not that difficult to see that the story is a serious one. It's one where we need to question our values and question those people in authority, because that's what a democracy is meant to be about. And certainly to have the courage to do that.
Mort comes to a point where he's got to decide, oh, hang on, I'm getting in up to my neck. And he says, bugger it, I'm gonna go the whole hog. I'm gonna go as far as it takes.
Mort, no, I'm serious. Jones's phone was tapped, so was mine. You know, it's quite possible they're just listening and watching us right now. You know, the cops, the government, the fraud squad, the CIA, the whole bloody establishment seems to want the story squashed. You know, even you.
Hey, steady on. There's no need to include me in your conspiracy crap.
How much pressure under Foxy?
Pressure?
From the bosses?
Jeff has had no fear. in asking these questions and putting this story before the public, and doing it, in his own kind of unique style with that great dollops of humour and fun.
I'm sorry, I didn't catch your name. Spook.
Spook?
Spook.
The thing that attracted me to it is that it's about who's in charge, who rules our lives.
The film is going to intrigue people. It's going to be much more intriguing than just a straightforward thriller, I suppose, because it's got very strong thriller elements in it, but it also has this other undercurrent that people are going to say, there's just something not quite right here, I think.
Oh, hello. I think the bit that Kiwi audiences will relate with, which I as an actor have related to, is not believing that it could really happen to me, not believing that these events are really happening, not believing that it's capable of happening in New Zealand.
Hey, what the hell was on those discs?
I don't know.
If worst comes to worst, you can always talk to your mates or
What the hell have you got up there?
call the cops,
They've got cops and now the SIS. There's court orders all over me.
call an MP.
The Monty Churchill from Parliament.
Yeah, him.
Monty Churchill is going to pick us up.
He's gonna screw you, that's what he's gonna do. He's gonna screw you.
Imagine if all those avenues suddenly didn't work for you or shut down. And that's actually what happens in the story. All our normal avenues of cries for help don't get answered.
You're right, I'll take it. And 6 boxes of Emma.
And not only do they not get answered, but they get turned around on. And this kind of happy-go-lucky guy starts to break down.
Kevin, no, Jimmy.
If you really want to mobilize your attacker quickly.
Ha-ha, gotcha! See?
One of the things that I've taken away when I was doing my research as an actor was I never really believed this sort of thing could happen in New Zealand. And we're not only saying, what if it happened, we're saying, it did happen.
I had the story, and this was a very important story. It was a huge, but what, it was a tricky bastard. Elusive, hard to pin down.
Cliff Curtis is a really interesting actor. He's very thoughtful and very deep and thinks about it a lot and has got fantastic screen presence. And he's got the ability to express a hell of a lot of emotion and complexity, apparently with very little mobility of his face or anything. You would swear he was doing nothing, but put him in the scene and you read all the stuff coming off it. It's a real rare gift, I reckon, a talent. The scene where there's been an accident and the implications of it first dawn on him, and I struggled to try and get meaningful thoughts that we could do as voiceover, or Meredith suggested we have flashbacks of the stuff, and I built all that into the script. And then Cliff goes down it, stands there, and you read the whole story on his face. And he doesn't do a thing. It's amazing. Terrific talent, really.
Cliff is playing a role really unusual for him compared to most of the other films I've seen, where he's some kind of ethnic character, almost a bogeyman type character.
I got to play a role that I don't think I would get cast in, I think it's quite easy to cast me as a flake and a loser, so I thought it would be more challenging to play a role that wouldn't have crossed their mind to cast me in.
It drove me nuts. I play Ruby Elder, and she's the girlfriend of the lead, Kevin. In terms of what Kevin's going through, I think Ruby finds that really hard to deal with currently, because it suddenly overwhelms Kevin. Like, Ruby's one of those characters that's quite cool to take everything as it is, but when it all gets too much, she just can't be bothered dealing with it. I thought I made things clear.
Yeah, I know, Ruby. Well, this is important. Oh, come on, you're the only person I can trust.
The first day I worked with Chris, he was, I think, running on negative 36 hours of sleep. So he's a true method actor, and he honestly puts his heart and soul into it. We had to do a scene together where we were both semi-naked, and it was fine. We forgot that we were even rolling around together half naked, because we were just joking around. but we got the stuff apparently, so that's great.
A lot of girls have this problem with men that actually don't know who they are, and that's what Mariana's dealing with in the script, and she plays it very well.
There's a way that she has of kind of injecting a lot of herself into the character of Ruby that she's playing. And there's something kind of little girlish but wise about her. And that also contrasts strongly with Chris Hobbs' character of Kev.
You got deals. You hobnob with famous politicians. I ain't got a bus fare.
No, look, Monty Churchill, he's...
Monty.
Come on, driver.
Yeah, say hello to him for me, will you? I'm sure he'll be along any minute now.
No.
It's funny because he's almost so unprepossessing that we almost overlooked him in the casting process. He's got a really weird mixture of innocence and surprise or something. He's got almost a surprised look on his face all the time. And I think he sets himself up for bad things to happen to him really beautifully.
Chris Hobbs brings a naive, funny, typical kind of Kiwi bloke innocence. That's what's terrific about him, is that, you know, he's Mr. Ordinary having something extraordinary happening to his life.
He's kind of your Kiwi bloke. He's relaxed, he's happy, doesn't think anything terrible is going to happen to him, and when it does, he doesn't really believe it at first and just sort of takes it all on chin. It's all a bit of a joke, but then it starts getting more and more serious and he can't take it as a joke.
It could even be the CIA.
Jimmy Blick, played by Johnny Lee, is Kevin's best mate who works in the apartment below him. It's wonderful for me because Johnny Lee is one of my close mates, so it's been brilliant. We've just kind of tuned our relationship into these two characters.
Well, we're playing mates, and that's easy because we are, so that's that part taken care of, you know. It's just that we're both different people, but then that's why it's called acting.
They poisoned Norm Kirk. They probably offed Lady Di.
There's something very comfortable about coming back and working with your own people, you know what I mean? It's just quite different. I enjoyed working with American actors and all that, and some are extremely accomplished, but I don't know, I just get a kick out of it. I've always loved it. Our first films that we ever made, we cast them in the pub, you know, and with mates and everything. It's always been fun.
It's years since I'd even seen Jeff, and when I got the phone call from him, you know, saying, I'm making this movie, would you be interested? It was like a, you know, voice out of the darkness, and he's just the same. He's got the same sort of energy and same obsession with making the film, and laughs at his own jokes, and it's, you know, he's really a creative sort of person, and that, I think, rubs off on everybody, that excitement.
I rang him up and asked him to come back for old time's sake in a way, because I really enjoy what he does. And of course he's come back and is doing what he does, and I've been enjoying it.
Put your hands lightly on the wheel. Now you've observed how quickly the device can be installed. When the moment comes, you push this.
Throughout the cast, we've got people like the special guest appearances by Ian Mune.
All right, 800. Catch up front.
4, maybe?
Kevin, have I got stupid written up here? Huh?
Well, I've got quite a few film directors in it. I've got Vincent Ward.
Look, Mr. Levine, your client is in possession of sensitive and confidential information.
Oh, I've got to do a scene with Jeff as well.
He got all overcome with an acting bug thing, a virus. He caught an acting virus of Cliff and Chris and John Lee and Ruby. And so he started performing.
Mrs. was pretty freaked out about it.
He overacted like mad, and he really ruined my performance. I don't know if he'll make it into the film. There you go.
We're all set pretty much. We're just waiting for the stunties, really. Hopefully this time around they get it right and they roll so we can go home. Cheers.
It's definitely guerrilla. We are working just ahead of the crew. The crew come in and shoot for their period of time, and we're stripping sets out at the same time we're dressing the next ones. And that's been pretty consistent all the way through. I don't see it stopping until we finish.
The combination of work that I do, which includes quite a lot of documentary stuff, helps with this style of filmmaking too. You know where your limits are, you know what you can get away with. You're used to using a lot of available light, you're used to looking at things and deciding, well, what's there is actually quite nice. You don't need to take that away and replace it with a big film lighting setup, which if you need to then move on to another shot very quickly, you just can't do it. So
one of the things that really has been disgusting about this film is that I'm smoking, and as my character smokes, it's really foul. I feel sick right now because I had to do a smoking scene. I hate smokes. Jeff was my inspiration for the character. He drinks coffee and he smokes, and there's this scruffy guy, and he sort of like this guy who just like sees himself as this maverick, and I thought that was really interesting. He kind of inspired me.
Smoking is not something.
But I think you'd do it at the drop of a hat, wouldn't you?
Yeah, but you tend to.
But if there's a moment, yeah.
You have a fight with someone. You go in.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's stress relief.
Yeah.
The connection I made for this character was there was this guy who wanted to control things that were larger than himself, but he couldn't even control this habit. And I thought that was interesting.
Our job is to ask the questions.
You want to change the world? Quit smoking.
Kevin's character lives the story. Cliff's character Mort narrates the story, and then the narrator steps into the story, which is one of the things I love about what Jeff's created with the movie.
I imagine the main course will be a steaming plate of half-baked opportunism with an assortment of delicious delusions on the side. By then, the bank will be ready to serve Kev himself up.
Because it's hard to kind of get a feeling for what a scene's supposed to feel like, because this character's supposed to be objective and removed from the situation, but I'm used to playing characters that are totally engaged with the situation.
Jimmy was a conspiracy freak, so he knew who Zeus Incorporated were, a company that had earned the reputation for being the laundromat of international finance. That was Jimmy's territory. Jimmy was becoming the key to understanding what was on the discs. If the bank wanted to play hardball, well, Kev was going to find out why.
What you create is that sense of timelessness.
Jimmy Blick. Sane? Reliable? Common sense person? Well, probably not.
Working with Jeff, he's the same character in an older body. There's things that you learn how each other reacts, and you put them to work. I don't batter him with things, and he doesn't batter me. And there's an element of trust that I sort of get first go with him. And if he likes it, it stays, and if he doesn't like it, he changes it. And that suits us both.
Story of Kev's life, really. Anyway, he's the closest thing to a hero we have, so I guess we better start with him.
No one else could make this movie but Jeff. He knows every aspect. He could probably build a camera if he wanted to.
He'll often get me to look at something, and he knows exactly to the look where he wants something. And I've never worked in that technical approach before. So it's neat for me. It's a huge challenge.
For the audience to warm to us, we have to be real people anyway. So that's the environment that Jeff has set up on set has helped for that too. And it's the way he gets along with everybody. He talks to all the extras, and they feel like they're a big part of the movie too, and they are. Everyone is. Everyone who's in the movie is a big part, and everyone should be made to feel like that.
Utu was my one of all-time favourite films, and there's Goodbye Pork Pie and Utu and Quiet Earth. So it's like, oh yeah, got to work with Jeff. He tohunga, the man.
Working with someone whose sole desire is kind of to make me look great is amazing, because it just lets me sort of go, well, I'll just dive into the character head first, and he's like, yeah, you dive in, and I'll tell you where to stand and what to do. And it's great.
The film leads you. It's like a child that's born. You can bring it up any which way you like, but it's going to turn out how it turns out. And one often wonders how children that have been extremely well brought up and behave a certain way, and films, to me, are the same thing. You actually have to go with whatever they are.
When you get that good at what you do, he can deconstruct it and start messing with it. Oh, gee, I wonder what's going to happen. What if we do this, or what if we do that? And he's just mixing it all up, like it's like he describes it as it's like playing jazz. The idea of jazz is you understand structure and form and discipline, and from there you just experiment. You start playing. You sort of see what happens if we play an off note here and break the rules and do everything upside down and do everything that you shouldn't do and still try and make good music.